Free Talk Live. You're welcome to call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Angie here.
And Jay.
The number's 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. And, well, not only are you welcome to call in and talk on Free Talk Live anytime that's between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, any day of the year, including Christmas. It doesn't matter. Whatever the day is, we'll be here from between 7 and 10. But we bring in some show prep, too. I got an article here from one of my favorites, the Foundation for Economic Education, because, well, frankly, I think we all need a little education in economics. 5 lucrative jobs that don't require a college degree. So when you think about a college degree at this point, I mean, the cost is going up, right?
Absolutely.
At some point or another, you reach the threshold for making enough money to pay for this thing to make it make sense. There are a lot of people out there right now who are saddled with debt from their college degree. In some cases, it's never going to get paid off. And I mean, you know, it's keeping them from moving forward. It's keeping them from getting the jobs that they want to get, keeping them – you can't get rid of it in bankruptcy. I mean, the only way you can get rid of your college debt is dying. And
a lot of these people that have these masters or whatever in these, you know, whatever crazy things, the only marketplace for them is what I call the parasite class, is to go work in some, you know, public education, to go be a teacher somewhere, and even and that's just like my niece, for example. We took her out to dinner the other night, and she's talking about, you know, college and doing this, and I'm like, what's the end game? You know, what are you going to do?
Right.
And
like, that's not the end game anymore. Like, college isn't the goal any longer. It's whatever is after college. And if college gets you to that thing that's afterwards, then that's great.
But it's like, and her whole line of work is literally, she's like, pretty much all, there's no private sector options that are pay any kind of money. And then when you go to work for the public sector, certain types of public sector, like school teachers and stuff, that you get these like the special like deferments on your college loan. Not my niece, but actually a cousin of mine who's same age, about 24. She went to school for art and a few other things, and I'm like, where can you really apply that?
College
in life?
for art.
And she's like, well, I was working at art studios, art galleries. And, you know, I make a commission on when something sells, and
but you don't need a degree when to do that,
right? And so I'm like, oh, you make any money there? And she's like, no. She's like, so I'm an art teacher, and she goes, but the great thing about being an art teacher is that it was some kind of contract that she did with the school, and they're basically gonna like take care of her student loans.
Yep, they'll pay your
as
loans.
part of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like the only way that there's this whole like class of educated working folks out there that are young, and the only opportunity they really have is to go to work in the government sector. And then, of course, you know, that's just, you know, more and more people working in the government sector. So us people who work in the private sector literally can't retire because we're forced to pay for the retirement of the public sector. Right.
And wages continue to go down in the private sector as compared to the government sector, as we, you know, I mean, it makes it more and more difficult. You're right. I often list people that should get a degree are engineers, doctors, lawyers, and that's about it. But in many cases, people who go to work for the government also need a degree.
So the degree scale that was explained to me, and I'm going to say this a little wrong. My cousin, and this was while she was at my wedding last summer, she was telling me about this. She lives in Mississippi. Was like, so the first degree you get is, I don't know, it was like a bachelor's or something.
The first one's an associate's, and then a bachelor's.
And then a bachelor's, and then a
master's, and then a PhD.
I think she's got like a bachelor's now.
Okay. And
so that bachelor's is worth X amount of dollars as an art teacher in the school.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah.
And then her goal is, and her mother's really pushing her to do this. Her goal is to get her master's, because she'll just by having the master's, she's not taking on any more work.
Yep.
She just paid a whole lot more money.
Yep.
And you know, and her, you know, my aunt, who's a wonderful lady, I love her dearly. She's been a professional in the public school system her whole life.
Yeah.
And she's actually a psychiatrist. And, she makes a really nice retirement. And basically, my cousin is like, it's like, yeah, you got to get that master's as quick as you can because you really need to crank up that retirement. By the time you're ready to retire, you can, bring home, $70,000-$80,000, a year.
Per year. Move down to Florida, right. And you're in great shape at 65 or whatever.
Now, what kind of contract did she have to sign in order to have them pay for her student loans?
She basically she didn't say contract. She said like agreement.
Okay. To work there so long, so many years. And basically, as she works there, so it's two things. Because she's working in a public school, there's like a deferment, and there's like a some kind of school loan assistance or forgiveness.
She didn't say that. I don't really exactly remember, but I also did talk to another cousin of mine who is doing a similar thing through the Navy, and I think the Navy is they're actually going to after the time is served in the Navy, the school loan is is paid off.
It's satisfied.
She basically they're like, oh, I don't have to pay these student loans. But my cousin who's got these student loans is like, she would have to like work. She would have nothing left over, literally working at like a $15 an hour job, at $40 an hour, and then feeding herself, and then paying a couple $100 a month for rent or whatever, and some of her other bills. I mean, it's just she's got nothing left over. And the student loans, I don't know what they are. They're several $100s a month or whatever. But
presumably, these student loans are basically anything that would be savings. Like the idea is that you pay off the student loans and then you begin putting the same amount toward savings in the future. So I don't know what. Obviously, I can't say what any individual may have in student loans. Some have more than others. Presumably, they believe they could get paid more than others. But one of the biggest problems is you got this 18-year-old comes out of high school. You don't believe they're old enough to drink. Frankly, they're not old enough to make you don't believe they're old enough to make a lot of sexual decisions, but you believe they're old enough to sign up for a contract that's going to hang over their head for 20 plus, potentially plus years. I mean, my wife's student loans just got paid off. She was done with college before I met her. We've been together since 2003.
I know a guy who is 61 years old, and they're still coming after him for his student loans. He like 4 years ago, we were doing some legal stuff on like how to kind of like fight off and beat these student loans somehow, and I referred him to some folks. He never really followed up, but at that point 4 years ago, what he had already made for payments was like 30% more than the actual original loans, and what he owes now is something like, and he finished college in the 70s, and what he owes now is something like 3 to 4 times as much as the original loan.
With penalties and interest.
Oh, yeah, because the interest is all crazy and the penalties, and it's such a racket.
It is. It's a real mess, and this is a lost generation, essentially, is what's happening here. And all you can do, you cannot save the world, ladies and gentlemen, but you can save your kids.
Yeah, teach them some skills. Or let them go learn some real-world skills.
Right. I mean, I've frankly, there's very few people that I think are well served going from high school directly into college. Admittedly, if you go to college, you start getting certain degrees. You get a STEM degree. That's science, technology, mathematics, and something to do with E. I don't know. I don't have to know them. I don't have a degree in one of those things. But I also, I never got a degree. I did a little bit of time at the community college, and that was about it. And everything's been fine up to this point.
In a little town I grew up in, Palmer, Massachusetts, there was a vocational school called Pathfinder Vocational School. So a bunch of my buddies went to Pathfinder, and pretty much all those kids that went to Pathfinder and took tech stuff, they're in trades, they're making very good money, and they have virtually zero debt. Well, they have no college debt because they didn't go to college. They went right to work.
That 4 years can be used at the company you want to work at. 855-450-3733. Tell me why college makes sense. 855-450-FREE as in freedom. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. You can call in, bring up what's ever on your mind. The number, 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE. It's Mark with you.
Angie here.
And Jay.
We're talking about this article from Fee about 5 jobs that don't require, lucrative jobs that don't require a college degree. But basically what we established in the first segment was college is more or less a scam. And it's going to put you deeply in debt and probably not provide you with much. Unless, like I like to say, engineers, lawyers, doctors, there's a few degrees that make some sense. Whatever yours is likely, statistically, very likely not one of them. I know an MBA who works on cars for a living and has a second job installing appliances.
A lot of my buddies, I graduated high school in '98, so and the huge push was back then was the guidance counselors. Listen to the guidance counselors. These guys are gonna, they're gonna. You just listen to a guidance counselor, your life is gonna be sweet. And let's And they had these people, these guidance counselors would recommend you get to like these firms that would help you write grant applications or college assistance or like grant money. Like a bunch of my buddies got like a few $1,000 here and there for like whatever, football, this, that, and the other thing, chess team or something. But and then 2003, 2004, my buddies, got 4, 5, 6 years in college, and they're like, "Hey, dude, can I go throw some hay with you?" And I'm like, "Well, what about that fancy college education you got? How come you're not making like $100,000 a year?" He's like, there's really no jobs. I went to school, Mr. Thompson was actually the guidance counselor, and he's like, my friend Brian, he went to school for basically like computer generated, cartooning. I forget what the heck it was called, but he showed me a little thing he made. And
I'm sure that's lucrative, and that you can. That thing sounds like you might be able to use that back then at some point.
Well, no, because guys in India do it for nothing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and in third world countries or developing countries, these guys get have whatever. It's cheaper to get that education, or they got it, or something. So he just couldn't get a job.
That's rough. Let's go to the phones. You got Tom calling in from New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
How do you spell sicko?
Sicko?
How do you spell sicko?
Okay. SICKO.
There's another way to spell sicko?
I bet there's a joke coming. Go ahead.
LGBTQ.
Oh, boy. So okay, that's it. That's what we got here. Whatever. There's a joke.
Interesting.
I don't particularly care what people do in their bedrooms. If you've got the time to be concerned with that, then I suppose you can pass judgment if you want. It's not my interest. Just don't care. So let's go on with this article here from Fee. They want to give us some highly paid, high demand careers that are sneered at because they don't require a college degree. And when I was in school, I don't know if this was said, but this was the impression that I got. Was basically there were 3 career paths that you could have out of school. You could go through like the shop classes and that sort of thing, and we had a handful of them still in I graduated in 1989. Or you could take the sort of the shop class career path, and then go on to vocational technical institute, and then probably get a job in the trades, as it were. And that was for people that were understood to be below average intelligence.
Right.
Sorry, that's how it was presented to me. Then for people above average intelligence, we were supposed to go to college. Whatever it was. It didn't matter what kind of useless degree you got, underwater basket weaving or, the art degree or whatever that your degree was. You just had to go to college and get a degree.
Yeah, as long as you got a degree and, you get a job at some school somewhere.
And
government job.
At that time, yes, you could get a degree with a relatively low cost. It wasn't going to be that big of a deal. Unless you went for a doctor and you're going to spend more. But still, the costs for going to college from 1989 to 1993 were going to be relatively inexpensive. I guess graduating year 1990 to 1994, actually. So, that was the career path I was on. And the bias was that you're the above average intelligence. And then there was this other career path of losers, right? They were just going to graduate high school and go off to work. And I don't think it's anything like that anymore. I think that, frankly, I would be looking for the person who takes their GED at 16 and then goes and starts working at a real job. When you're at 16 and you're going out and you're getting a real job and you're starting to look at the future, then maybe you can begin to discern what it is that you really want to do. Asking a kid who's 17 years old, because that's when you're supposed to start applying to colleges and supposed to know what it is that you want to do, I guess, because you'd want to apply to the college that has the best degree program in the area that you want to go, right?
And most of these 17-year-olds haven't done anything productive. They've played sports ball.
Right. Well,
that's what a 17-year-old wants to do. I'm going to be a basketball player or baseball player or whatever.
Yeah. If basketball can get you into a university where you can get a degree at a low cost, then by all means, play some basketball. It'll burn some calories. Sounds like a good thing to do. I was at work from I started working at 12 years old, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to follow orders. I wanted to be an employee. I wouldn't have stated that to you, but I didn't have any goals surrounding a career. I wasn't prepared to start talking about a career. I wasn't prepared for years after that. So asking me for that is unfair. And this career path where we say to kids, you got to get your SAT, you got to get your ACT, you got to go from 12th grade to 13th and 14th and 15th and 16th grade and go on. That doesn't make much sense. So I think that it makes more sense to go out and get a job, and then if you need to get something, then go get a degree after that. First one, truck drivers.
High demand right now.
It is in high demand because I think that people have seen the handwriting on the wall, right, as far as truck drivers go, that at some point or another, some kind of self-driving vehicle is going to come along and replace truck drivers. So a lot of people have gotten out of the field, but that doesn't change the fact that today things need to move from one location to another. And there's some big companies that are in the space, so it can be a little more difficult for the what do they call the single driver, basically the guy who owns his own truck, to make a living than it used to be.
It's tremendously. I was one of those guys. I essentially owned several trucks, buying and I bought and sold hay. We hauled it from Canada, to southern New England. And right now, if you want to live on a road in a beautiful brand new semi truck and be a real asphalt cowboy, you can start $50,000-$60,000 a year.
But what's your payment?
No, just go work for a company.
Okay.
Just to go work for a company. You can go work for JB Hunt or Schneider or any of these.
Testament.
And if you wanna be a coast to coast driver, and there's a bunch of them that listen to this show and they'll attest to this. And the thing is
I love truckers.
Young kids do that and they get burnt out. But I know some guys that are making $100,000 a year doing it.
Yeah, if you can tolerate the time spent away from the family, time spent away from clubs or whatever it is that you think you think is going to fulfill your life or whatever, you can make up to $80,000 a year, right off. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450 free talk live.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live. You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Angie here.
And Jay.
Talking about jobs that pay well that don't require any kind of college degree. We're just talking about truckers here. I'll get back into that for in a second here, but I want to tell you about Freedom's Phoenix. It's a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. That means they grab news stories from all over the internet, put them in one place. If you want the newest and freshest stories on current events and science and technology and historical findings and liberty news and government overspending and the rise of the police state, it's freedomsphoenix.com. They've got it. I go there on a regular basis. I go to the site when I click through. I get their daily dispatch. If you go to freedomsphoenix.com, that's freedom with an S, phoenix.com, and sign up. You can get the Daily Dispatch like I do. It's great. freedomsphoenix.com. Let's go to Jeff calling in from Chattanooga. Jeff, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, bud. Yeah, you talking about the truck drivers thing. I've been driving now for 20 years.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, yeah, it's a great job, man. I love it.
Yeah, nothing exists in America that a truck driver didn't bring us. So thanks.
That's exactly right. But, I make, in some cases, for an entry-level police officer nowadays, I average around $85,000 a year. And I'm not gone that much. I'm usually gone 3 weeks and come home for a week.
Okay.
But these policemen out here that are getting, putting their lives on the line, and they're getting shot at every day and getting killed. They're making half of what I'm making.
Well,
some towns.
I would caution you on this, Jeff. Although, what we see on television is cops getting shot at, but it's not even one of the top 10 most dangerous jobs. And frankly, it's the truck drivers whose lives are shortened who are actually doing the more dangerous job. Because in many cases, truck drivers, they're not getting a lot of exercise. They're getting obese. They're away from their wives who might be watching what they eat and stuff like that. And their lives are shortened as a result. I'd say the truckers have the more dangerous job.
Well, statistically, truckers it is a much more dangerous profession than being a police officer.
Yeah, it's dangerous out there.
I learned a lesson about that because I was one of those. I was almost 500 pounds. And I've lost 167 pounds.
That's great.
Excellent. Good job.
So,
how'd you do it, Jeff?
52 more. I want to quit eating junk.
Yeah.
Start eating
It's a simple formula.
Hey, Jeff, speaking of being a healthy trucker, a guy I used to subscribe to on YouTube called himself the Wheatgrass Trucker. Have you heard of him? Check him out. Just YouTube search the Wheatgrass Trucker. And what this dude did is he would grow sprouts in his truck. And he had a whole sprouting setup in a condo sleeper. And he went from being he lost a lot of weight. He's a very fit, healthy guy, but he was heading down that road of, extremely overweight and stuff. It's
easy.
And I always recommend the Wheatgrass Trucker to truckers. He kind of inspired me to lose some weight, a few years ago also.
Because you're basically a trucker too, right, Jay?
Well, I was. I'm not anymore. I got just sick of looking through the windshield. I got burnt out.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. Go ahead.
Yeah, buddy. Thank y'all. Appreciate you.
No problem at all.
Good night.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Samantha calling in from Rochester. Samantha, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys. Long-time listener. I'm calling because of the truck driving. I'm actually a truck driver.
Thank you for your service.
Thanks. So the biggest issue I have is with the whole driver shortage portion of it.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about this part because I feel like... What's that?
I think it's both. Sorry, caught myself.
Nope. I didn't hear anything. So what my concern is that if I tell somebody to get into trucking, how long are they going to have this job? So is it going to be 5 years? Is it going to be 10 years? I don't know the answer to that because I figure at some point or another we're going to have these self-driving trucks on the interstate. I don't know the answer to it, but maybe. And then what does one do with the skill set that one has developed over time with this, with driving trucks? I mean, what does it translate into? So go ahead, give me your thoughts.
Well, as far as the self-driving trucks, I see that in the future, but I don't see it happening tomorrow, especially with all of the government regulation and all of the rules and everything like that. I get that you can get rid of a lot of the rules because, trucks don't need to sleep. People do. But the issue I have is that, you're still going to have someone in the truck, whether the truck is self-driving or not. You're going to have someone in the truck to be sure that it's going the right direction because, as we know, just like humans, machines can fail also. So, I mean, personally, because I'm technologically, I don't know, I'm good at technology and like that kind of thing. So I could probably maybe learn how to program them or take that kind of step, and I can keep being in the trucking industry without actually driving. But I'm also really young, too, compared to most truckers. So I have that on as a positive for me.
Make sure you save that money.
That's the thing, is you don't really make a lot of money. I know that's going to crush some dreams.
You're not making
really
much money trucking?
No. When I was driving truck over the road, I could make anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 a week.
Okay.
And that was being a company driver, and that was 48 states in Canada. And I'd be gone for 4 weeks and home about 6 days.
So something like maybe $50,000 a year?
Well, if you take taxes out of that, maybe
yeah.
like
Once you get taxes out of it, yeah, indeed. Thanks for
I
shining a little realism on this. Appreciate it, Samantha.
Yeah, no problem.
855-450-3733. In many cases, yeah, I mean, taxes diminish the amount you're making, but everybody's paying them, so, you got to have some standard by which to... Saying $50,000 a year helps you to compare it to other jobs as opposed to saying how much you actually get, right?
And the thing with truck driving, too, in the truck driving industry, there's a tremendous amount of turnover. So, like, a lot of the guys I know, they were constantly, I'm going to get another job here because they'll pay me a nickel more a mile. Or they'll give me some benefit, and then and then on the same token, the trucking companies are always looking to find a cheaper guy to hire.
Right. And in many cases, when you're really bidding companies against each other, you find that once they get you over there, that the thing that they said has some more caveats to it or whatever, and doesn't work out the way you'd hoped it, and then it's like, it's a pain to leave. Let's go to Richard calling in from Tennessee. Richard, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thanks, gentlemen and ma'am. This is the first time I've listened to your show. It's really interesting. I live here in Chattanooga, but I'm up in Cleveland today. I wanted to touch a little bit on some things Samantha said and kind of back up a little bit of what she said about the automated trucks. I personally don't see it either for a very long time. A lot of drivers that are leaving the industry are leaving because of health risks.
Yeah, like just sitting.
We're being pushed out. You brought that up a minute ago with the obesity. A lot of it is the sleep apnea thing. And people don't know they have it, so they have to go get the test done, and then they have to have the machine and do everything that they're supposed to do. It shortens your DOT physical for 1 year. Instead of a 2-year card, now you get a 1-year card. It's a hassle.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a hassle. And the money thing, they've come up in pay a little bit across the industry because they are needing drivers. A lot of companies now are moving to automatics instead of shifting gears.
Okay, I was going to asking what automatic meant.
It makes it exponentially easier to learn how to drive a truck if you just learn how to back one up and hold lane, maintain lane, stability.
That's about it, right?
Get a CDL license. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I've been doing it for 20 years.
Thank you for your service too, Richard.
Better. Thank you. The automatics have gotten better than the first generation. I don't know what generation of automatics we're in now, but I'm driving one now, and I actually like it a little bit better. The first one I ever drove was
Richard, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. You're welcome to call in, talk about what you want. We've been talking about lucrative careers that don't require a college degree. Article from the Foundation for Economic Education, and I think it's a great idea. It's Mark with you.
Angie here.
And Jay.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. If you're a retailer and you want to accept cryptocurrency, I have a recommendation. It's anypay.global. And they've made it incredibly easy for you to take cryptocurrency. There's no paperwork or approval process or anything like that. It doesn't spend any really moments to be able to accept cryptocurrency. All you have to do is basically have a tablet at the register. Go to helpmetakebitcoin.com. Helpmetakebitcoin.com. And They will handle it from there. It's a robust website. It's going to handle everything you need. So sign up's easy. HelpMeTakeBitcoin.com. Let's go to Bad Slave calling in on the Discord line. By the way, listen to how he sounds here. You could sound this good too. Just go to discord.freetalklive.com. Bad Slave, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm really glad to sound well. Mark, Angie, and Jay, good to speak with all of you.
Hi.
I want to address this to all of you and the rest of the world listening in as well, even bigger than that if possible. I think that the bulk of institutions and buses and unions and instructors and people that get a break for being in sports. I want to throw most of that out. I want to get rid of it.
Inefficiencies in the marketplace, right?
What's that?
Inefficiencies in the marketplace.
Well, exactly. I mean, the fact is that learning is the process of delivering data. No.
Okay.
And so also the young people that are motivated, which are most of them,
I'll take your word for that.
Vast majority of them are in fact interested in that delivery data delivery, right?
All right.
The incremental cost of any piece of data being delivered, whatever kind of media it is or whatever, someday probably going to be direct connections to our brains. But in the meantime, we have,
now there's a screen in the way at this point. Yeah.
Right. So I think that the actual cost for IT to deliver that data is approaching zero. Is that not true?
They're certainly driving it down.
Well, I mean, I'm serious. How much does it cost to watch a whole movie? The actual action of pulling in a movie and getting that data and watching it. I mean, somebody wants to get paid for it, but just the delivery of the material.
Right. What's the wholesale cost
close to zero?
I watched Thor: The Dark World last night, and I had bought this previously from Amazon, so it's hosted on their site. What's the actual cost to Amazon to deliver me that movie? So I don't know the answer to that.
Well, the thing is we got to understand too, is that anything that we're getting for free is we are the product. It's the data we provide all these companies, whether it's social media or selling us something or video hosting or whatever. The data we end up providing them is where they make all their money. In fact, even like Verizon, just having like a Verizon wireless phone, the fact that you have a phone service with Verizon is worth something like, it's a crazy number. It's tens of thousands of dollars that like you being a customer of Verizon is worth to Verizon for like, I don't know, marketing or selling or I don't know all the answers, but Ernie Hancock had someone on talking about this a few weeks ago.
Jay,
yes.
Jay, that is of no effect.
Well,
hello.
But you could be right.
Give me give me the punchline here, okay?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you.
So you're saying don't get a job in tech?
Jay is bringing up an effect that's only an effect for the stupid. Okay.
But what I'm saying is
we can control what our appearance is on the web. So how much they're gaining off of advertising and what have you is not the factor involved.
Well, it's a factor involved in what?
That the actual, because of the cheapness of computer hardware, the actual delivery cost of data is approaching zero.
And that information, true or questioned, is meaningful to me in what way? I agree with you.
In what way is that? Why is it that in the last, I don't know how many decades, I mean, I was a schoolboy in the 50s, okay? And since then, the cost of delivering this data to me has ramped up, exponentially. It's ridiculous. I mean, this cost of $100,000 or more for any kind of a decent data delivery is, in fact, it's idiotic and
what
needs
data
to
delivery
stop.
is $100,000? This is the thing that you're not communicating to me, bad slave, what I'm supposed to do with this information. I don't understand.
Well, I mean, the fact is that we should stop.
Stop what?
Stop actually, spending that money to, get the data that's available through the internet and learn on our own.
Okay, finally. Thank you. So you're saying that I can get a college degree education for free online through MIT, and I don't have to pay $100,000 or $200,000 for an MIT degree. That was the piece that was missing for me. Yes, it's absolutely true.
I mean, I was building up to that.
I got you. I just didn't understand. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE. He's 100% right. College is basically free. The piece of paper you get at the graduation is 50, 75, 100, 150,000 a year.
You can basically learn
not a year,
almost anything you want, literally just from the internet. Like,
yes,
like I have a kid who's going to come make a knife, and I'm like, what kind of knife do you want to make? So I'm like, just YouTube search, making a knife, forging a knife.
Yep.
And so he's like found all these videos and watching these videos, and you watch these videos and watch all these guys do these things. I mean, and then you just actually figure out, that you can do it.
And you practice.
And I'm going to provide them with tools in the spot and little help, and we're going to do it.
Absolutely. And you pretty much can learn anything through these classes. Admittedly, some careers will want that degree, and for some careers you're going to need to get it. But if you really just want to learn, the internet's got it for you. Like, there's no if you want it spoon-fed to you and you want the degree at the end, that's what college is for.
This is the easiest time in history to skill build right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I think there's an advertiser out there called Skillshare, as a matter of fact, that does that sort of thing. Let's go to Militant Agorist. Militant Agorist, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how you doing?
All's well. What's on your mind?
I'm in the logistics industry, and we've got a real big short of drivers.
Oh, so a shortage of drivers for truck drivers. But doesn't shortage mean, though, that we just have to pay too much, pay more than we want for truck drivers?
Yeah, that is. I mean, of course, that's what it means.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the company I work for, we've got a union.
You're muffled.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Well, the company that I work for has a union, so there's a set pay scale. And all of that. But
so then you do have a legitimate shortage because you have a governor on the marketplace as far as pricing goes. So
right, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, we can't find enough people to do it, and I mean, I guess that shouldn't be a thing because. Well, if we,
are you a broker?
We got a limit on how much we can pay them, but shouldn't the pay be going up because of that?
If there's a shortage, yes. The supply goes down, then and demand remains the same, then pricing should go up. Yeah.
Are you a broker by any chance?
I'm not a broker.
What's that do?
We do work with a company that does LTL stuff.
What's LTL? What's broker?
Broker is someone.
Truckload.
Yeah. Oh, so broker is someone who basically brokers out loads that need to get hauled to individual truckers to get it hauled or companies, and LTL is less than truckload.
855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISS Paris.com.
Free Talk Live.
That's right, it is Free Talk Live. And you are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves. We're kicking off the second hour of Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
Angie here.
And Jay.
If it's between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, any day of the year, you can call in. We've been talking about this, the five highest paying jobs, five high-paying jobs for that are lucrative that you don't need a degree for. But it's basically been Trucker Talk Live for the first hour here, Free Talk Live. And one of the things that was said was that you can more or less get the education of a university through their online, in many cases, online programs that you can watch YouTube videos and these sorts of things and get the education. And I think Andrew's got a comment on that. Andrew, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
All's well.
So the big thing is with a college education is that you're directly working with people who are holding you accountable, and you're working with companions and coworkers, basically, that are helping you become the best student and learner you can be. And it's not just about information.
Do you mean like a bachelor's degree, or are you talking about beyond a bachelor's?
I'm talking about before, when we're in high school. We should be working with other students. You gain social skills and the ability to think critically that you wouldn't get if you were just reading a book at home.
I don't know what it was like for you in high
for
school,
a long time.
But in my high school, we were rarely, maybe a handful of times, assigned one of these sort of group projects. And usually what it taught me was that I could talk the ugly smart girl into doing my work for me.
It's not even about the group projects alone, but just being in a classroom with other students, engaged in the student conversation. The teachers go to school themselves for a long time.
Yep.
School, teaching as a skill has improved a lot over the past 20, 30 years.
So schools are better now than they were.
You couldn't handle it now. Yeah.
Okay.
And the high schools are better now. The colleges would be better if we took better care of our TAs and the assistant teachers.
How can we complain about the people? How can we complain about the people that these institutions are kicking out so much more? I mean, are they better human beings than I was at whatever age, whatever given age we're talking about? Because I mean, I don't know. Best I can tell is kids are lazy.
I feel like this generation is amazing.
I feel like this generation is lazy.
People get on this generation's case. This generation, if you look at the statistics, is working their butt off.
I started work at 12. I haven't found one person doing that. Oh, are you talking about doing schoolwork as work?
Or going to baseball practice as work?
I'm talking about this generation when they enter the workforce. This generation is expected to spend more time on their phone, emailing the boss, and doing everything else. Also working the gig economy. The gig economy is very tiring.
Yeah.
You have to jump through a million hoops to even get a gig.
Yep.
And then when you get one, you have to work your butt off for it.
Yep.
So if you just break it down into hours spent working or looking for work, this generation, for what we get, benefits-wise, is very low. If you look at
I'll say that the cost of labor is
years,
going down. I would agree with you on that. Is that the labor itself is it's harder and harder to get compensated for it. You've got to look in specialized areas. That's one of the reasons we're doing this particular bit here. Certainly, you don't get out of high school and suddenly the jobs just fall at your feet. I would not claim that.
And you don't just watch YouTube videos and suddenly think that you're a political scientist, because if that was true, you'd probably end up watching a whole bunch of Prager University stuff and end up very, very stupid.
Well, I mean, so don't watch YouTube videos through their algorithm, but you can. There's lots of great education out there. The colleges themselves offer these morgues, right? These massive online learning, whatever the hell they're called. I don't know.
Yeah, and I took college classes, and I can tell you that if it wasn't for some of the professors who really pushed me, and I thought I was like, I read these things before. I read Benjamin Franklin before I came to this class, so I already know what he's going to say. I'm like, nope, this teacher, this professor, she showed me I didn't really know how to read him properly. And it's just like a different way.
You're not selling me with Benjamin Franklin. I mean, frankly, you can go read Benjamin Franklin for free on your own time. The idea of paying somebody to tell you about it.
The thing thing is, you can read it, and I did read it.
Yeah.
But until I took that class, I didn't realize that I wasn't reading it.
How does that make me better at earning?
I'm talking about just one example of how college in the classroom changed my view on reading just for fun.
So you don't think
as a hobbyist to
college is a
increase my
ripoff?
Education?
Well, there would be a difference.
Well, okay, take that back. College is a ripoff in the sense that we're charging way too much, and it shouldn't be based on how if I can get $100,000. Look at Britain, look at France, look at other countries that have do better jobs of making where the lowest income people can get into the best colleges. That's what we need to do. Make college affordable, not just pretend it's not important anymore.
I'm not sure that. Well, okay. So again, you can't change the world, right? None of my listeners here who are listening to me are going to be able to change the socioeconomic system in the United States. You can yak all you want about how college should be free.
As a group, we can.
Okay. Well, let me give you a rebuttal then, Andrew.
That's what people power is about.
Andrew, go to Europe if you want free college. Why in the world would you stay here?
How about I make my home country better?
But how about, why would you do that? I picked up my life and I moved.
Why would I make my country better?
No, let me give you.
Better?
I have a serious question here. This is a serious question that I cannot get answered by one of these people who wants to turn college into 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th grade. I seriously don't understand. Oh, and free medical, because that goes along with it. I know you're down with that too.
I'd love to answer this question.
I know. Here's my question. My question is, I picked up my life 12 years ago to move for the Free State Project because I believe that the maximum role of government should be the protection of life, liberty, and property. I, like thousands of other people, moved from Florida, well, in my case it was Florida, but from other places around the world to New Hampshire to work for that one particular goal. If I found a place that was more libertarian than the place that I live significantly, and I thought that was the place where we were going to see some benefits, I would pick up and move there. So when I hear somebody say, they do it better in Denmark, I'm like, go to effing Denmark. Like, I'm not saying I want to get rid of you, because I've been told to move to Somalia so many times that I could strangle somebody over it. What I'm saying is why would you live your life in Albuquerque when you could go, when paradise is just around the corner?
Well, one, it's moving from the United States to Europe is not the easiest task, number one.
Have you tried?
Number two, not everyone can drop everything and lose their social network. Not everyone has that money. The poorest people are actually, it's the hardest for lots of them to move.
I was not wealthy.
No, well, I'm
it
not.
It cost me $1,000 to move.
You as an individual, I'm talking about groups and their ability to move statistically.
Statistics and groups doesn't really matter to me, though.
And make it a libertarian paradise, but that doesn't mean that the wealth that New Hampshire has should ignore the poverty that maybe Alabama has. And we can't just empty out Alabama.
Well, why Alabama?
Because they have poor people.
Why not Botswana?
Alabama. We're talking, we'll talk about the whole world. I'll say that New Hampshire, including and the rest of the United States, benefits from a global economic system that oppresses the poor people there.
So why not take, because the poor people in this country are rich compared to poor people in other countries. So why not just tax all the Americans and send the money?
Relative deprivation. That's a fallacy. That's a fallacy of relative deprivation. You might as well say, well, I'm only hitting you if you're domestically abusing your wife. I'm not like putting you in the hospital. Ooh, you have it so much better. No, poor people here are suffering. We have counties in North Dakota that have lower life expectancies than Sudan. And that's because of racial and economic oppression.
And it has to do with genetics too. I mean, right? Like, there's all kinds of issues that come into play. American Indians have
Native American reservations don't have low life expectancies because of their genetics.
They do.
Probably because of socioeconomic reasons.
They tend to be attracted to alcohol and sugars more than most people are, and then therefore they have problems with diabetes and alcoholism. So yeah, they do have a genetic issue.
Oh yeah. So the reason why African Americans eat soul food is just because they just love getting diabetes, but not because
Who was talking about African Americans?
Came from slavery.
Soul food isn't going to give you diabetes.
Because I know about African American dietary issues more than I know about Native American dietary issues, but I do know that Native Americans had alcohol and intergenerational oppression and trauma that white groups have not had to suffer from. So when we start like pointing fingers and saying that's why they're alcoholics.
So how much do I owe them? Hold on,
disgusting.
Andrew. Before you go on, how much do I owe them? That's what I want to know. How much do I owe them? Free. Free Talk Live. You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. My name is Mark.
Angie here.
And Jay.
If you've been watching Bitcoin's price today, it's been skyrocketing. What Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is a practical system for you to control your own wealth in the world. Right? Like, it's not turned over to banks. It's not turned over to governments. No one can prevent you from sending money to somebody. Nobody can force you to send money to somebody without, like, banging you in the knee with a wrench or something.
If I could add to that, Bitcoin is the first peer-to-peer currency that actually works in the modern day. For years, I have been trying to barter and trade and buy and sell them, like silver, for example, which is really hard to do. With Bitcoin, it's just so easy because it's like digital precious metals as far as I'm concerned.
They called it digital gold for some time. Go to Bitcoin.com. They're your premier source for everything Bitcoin related. They can show you how to get a wallet, how to buy Bitcoin, where to spend Bitcoin, places like SavePurse.com, the latest Bitcoin news, engage with the community. You can even get some free Bitcoin. All of it at Bitcoin.com. They make it easy for you. Bitcoin.com. Let's go back to Andrew in Albuquerque. So Andrew called in to rebut the notion that you could learn online. I guess the basic premise is that Prager University made videos and you don't like them. And then I asked kind of how, like, why not just take control of your life and solve your problems in a practical fashion? And I think your answer was some people are poor.
The idea is that groups of people are facing oppression and that they can't just pick up and move. And if they do, they can face oppression where they go. So if you look at African Americans after Reconstruction failed, they went to the North, and then due to the redlining and bigotry and discrimination ended up being thrown in the ghettos. So then what should they do? Should they move someplace else, get beat up someplace else? You know, it's just like, where do the poor go to not be taken advantage of?
I would agree with you that African Americans had decades of real problems about figuring out where to live in the United States. I think that individually, an African American or a black person can solve their problems, and that would be through education, hard work, and a good attitude. Right? Those things are going to go a long way.
But education costs too much money, I thought. So now we're back at square one.
Well, go work as a plumber.
Made groups of people poor.
Fine, go work as a plumber. Go work as a carpenter.
I would like to point out what is the number
There's
one.
There's only so many plumbers that not everyone can be a plumber, though.
Oh, yeah.
Go to the plumbing businesses. Obviously, the trades is really the answer here, right? Like, you know what I'm saying.
Trade schools are amazing, and you can't just learn trade schools on YouTube either. That's the point. You need.
You can definitely learn.
You can definitely learn the trades on YouTube.
Watching videos, kids learn how to blacksmith. They get the ideas, and then they go right into it, and they can apply it practically. I do it with them often. I teach blacksmithing.
I know amazing plumbers and amazing tradespeople, and they would die if they had to deal with people that learned on TV.
Well, you don't walk in the first day.
There's a lot to do with experience.
Right. You don't walk in the first day at the plumbing job and demand the plumber's wage, right? Like, I started at 12 years old earning minimum wage, actually lower than that at 12 years old. And, you know, that's you have few skills, you earn less money. You start working hard and keeping a good attitude. I think that hard work and a good attitude is a big solution to a lot of problems. But if you complain, definitely the government will send money your way.
And you had mentioned that these like the African Americans getting pushed into the ghetto and being oppressed. The biggest oppression I think was going on with poor people is the fact that poor people are being tremendously subsidized by the government. And when you subsidize anything, you create more of it. So we have generations of people who have lived on government subsidies.
That's not necessarily true. The idea that just because you give people money to help them live their lives and not be hungry is going to just demotivate them.
Yes, it does.
It's
Absolutely.
been proven untrue by social research.
Well,
it may be true in your head, but if you research it, it's not true.
What's going on in South Side of Chicago?
Is a donut hole. You can have a donut hole to where if I make too much money, I lose benefit, and so I don't try to make more money. That's true. But if you do it gradually and you give people autonomy and you give them enough money to where they can go to school, and be an apprentice, so they don't have to have a hungry kid.
Anybody can go to school.
At low wage.
Anybody could go.
Not if I need a job. If I need the work.
Okay, then
right
go
now,
work at the plumber's office. You don't need to be like this. Is where your paradigm's locked up.
If I can't afford daycare, and how can I afford daycare if I don't work?
Look,
and you see, then you
seriously, you're right, Andrew. Good decision, good results come from good decisions. Good decisions come from experience, and experience comes from bad decisions. There's no doubt that if you make bad decisions in your youth, it will affect your earning potential later in life.
Unless you're rich, because then you're fine, and you get a slap.
I grew up in a house
or someone
with
bails you out.
I grew up in a house with no washer and dryer.
Stop making it about you and make it about groups of people and statistics.
I can't answer things about statistics, Andrew.
And making it a micro issue.
Andrew,
you're applying microeconomics and micro issues to macro problems.
I am not.
Macroeconomics.
I'm giving everybody really good advice, and that advice is work hard and have a good attitude.
Which is great in the end,
Andrew
but then
knows
if you
everything.
look at how it works on the macro level, it's not true. And meritocracy is a lie, and it's always been a lie.
I didn't say anything about meritocracy.
Period. But that's what you're saying.
I came from the
and you're
Andrew.
Be okay.
Here's the reason I don't. Here's the reason you're going to have a difficult time convincing me, Andrew. I spent 8.5 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. I got out with nothing to my name. I am a highly successful.
Why are you the exemplar? You're not. Just because you could be the Jesus of making it from nothing, swag the riches. I don't care.
All right.
I'm talking about groups of people
let
and
me
how
ask you
human
this:
beings behave.
Why should I give you 1 red cent for free without you working for
because
it? Why?
You live in a society that's going to be better because it's helping people.
That's
not a society
right.
that's worse that has people.
If I
dying
don't
on the
want to
street.
pay, Andrew, what happens to me?
If you don't want to live in this society,
nope.
I guess you can move, right?
Well, yes,
right?
I can.
That's what you told
me. That's a real problem.
You should leave the country because I don't want to live in a country that has poverty in it.
What? So, well,
I want to get rid of poverty,
and Andrew,
I'm going to do everything I can to get rid of poverty.
As the United States drives out
us getting rid of poverty, then maybe you could move to a place that
you don't have poverty. There is no poverty in America. Poor people are holding cell phones in their hands.
Poor people are fat. They eat plenty.
You have people in Pine Ridge Reservation. They don't have running water in lots of the houses.
Yep.
They don't have electricity in lots of the houses. And then you're going to say it's because their genes make it where they are.
No, I didn't
poverty.
say that it was because their genes.
Earlier.
You were listing off a few things, and I added something to the list.
High poverty rate.
Get out of the reservation is my solution. The same solution I had for you when you started complaining that America.
They were genocided into the reservation. And
Buddy,
then you're going to have.
I never killed an Indian. Hey, look,
family.
Andrew, I've never killed an Indian. I've never enslaved a black person. Why do I owe them anything?
Oh, my goodness. But you're a United States citizen, and this country's rich off the blood and the sweat and the tears of black and brown and red people.
And white people.
Excellent.
That's the fact. We're all benefiting from it.
I believe every one of them has every opportunity to move forward. They should have every opportunity.
We're going to move forward by getting rid of poverty. And we're going to do it by
government isn't going to get rid of poverty, but government creates more.
How do you get rid of poverty? That's what I want to know.
Thank you for the call. Please call in again with another issue. I think you've been great. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Unlikely I'm ever going to agree with Andrew, but it is Free Talk Live. And the number is 855-450-3733.
Go to themorganreport.com and receive updates and insights you will not find anywhere else on the web. You will discover how to grow and protect your wealth under all market conditions. The Free Morgan Report provides interviews, webinars, question and answer sessions, plus mind-blowing videos. As David Morgan says, let my passion create your wealth. TheMorganReport.com. TheMorganReport.com.
Talk Live. The number is 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. Want to tell you about Fork Fest. Fork Fest 2019 is going on right in New Hampshire, June 13th through the 18th. Jay, what can people expect at Forkfest?
Well, they can expect to hang out with a bunch of libertarians, voluntarists, people who call themselves, peaceful anarchists. You will see people open carrying. You will see some blacksmithing actually happening there, skill building. My brother will probably be there flying his drone around and telling people about that because he's into that. I'm going to be doing my man camp is basically kicking off at Forkfest this year. And man camp's about building skills. And so kids can grow up and actually be confident and get out of poverty. I mean, building skills and exercising skills, and just like you said earlier, Mark, having a desire to actually do something and a good attitude will get about anybody out of poverty.
Yeah, I really do believe that.
Getting back to Forkfest, it's just it's a decentralized, basically unorganized, that I've been actually doing a lot of organizing of, via the man camp. A group of people getting together at Rogers Campground. It's I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be doing all kinds of things, teaching people about ironworking, teaching people about chainsaws, knife sharpening.
Go to forkfest.party. It's forkfest.party. You'll get the Telegram chat there, the forum. You'll connect with people and find out what's going on. Forkfest.party. So all this got started because we read an article about 5 lucrative jobs that don't require a college degree. And I'm of the opinion at this point that not that the world does not need from this generation some people who are going to college. However, I would say that there are, for you personally, individually, there's decisions you're going to make before you go into college. Hopefully there's some people listening, maybe they're the parents of people listening or grandparents of people listening, who may be of the opinion college is right for everybody because that's what I was told. Well, I don't think it is anymore. And I wish if I could go back that I would be able to tell some of my friends who went to college and that sort of thing there's better ideas. One of those ideas that was posited during this article is truck drivers. They make good money, and we had lots of truckers call in. I just want to go through this list and talk about some other kinds of jobs, and these are all going to be trades. Elevator installers and repairers. So, glamorous, this job is not. Fulfilling and in demand, however, very much so. The Bureau of Labor Statistics states that this trade is experiencing an increasing amount of demand for workers while paying almost $40 per hour, or a median of $80,000 per year, without requiring any kind of regular higher education besides the on-the-job training and apprenticing. So, one thing I don't want to say is that going to Votech school is a solution to something. It could be. If you know the job you want to do, maybe Votech is the right solution, the Vocational Technical Institute. But maybe it's not. Maybe the right thing to do is to go work for the company, a company that does what it is that you are interested in doing, and building your skills up that way.
I would recommend to any young man or woman to try to apprentice with somebody. There are electricians you can apprentice with. There are plumbers you can apprentice with. I actually did apprentice with an HVAC installation guy growing up, and he actually paid me really good. He paid me like $15 an hour when I was like 13 years old.
That's really good.
In the first week, he just basically, my dad knew him, and he's like, hey, I need a kid to help me out with a job. My guy got hurt and he quit or something. So he's like, I'll just take him. There was no talk about pay or nothing. You're going with Steve.
Yep.
You can be up tomorrow morning, during summer, and so I went with him. And he's like, oh, you did a good job. He showed me how to do this stuff. But like welding, blacksmithing, my brother's a farrier, a horseshoer. He put horseshoes to horses' hooves. And he always wants an apprentice. Always. Because you just a guy to go into the truck and grab something and they're learning and they're standing right there and they're doing it. And he's, I don't know, probably goes through 5 to 7 apprentices a year, and some of these guys are like, yep, that was cool. Then they go on to the next thing.
Yep.
Some of these guys are shoeing horses part-time, or they dive into it full-time, or they go on to a Kentucky School of Horsemanship horseshoeing program, and then they go to college once they decide they like it. But if you're looking to go into college, like I say to all these college kids, where are you going to get a job? How are you going to monetize your education? How are you going to be able to pay for all of this? And that is a question few of them can answer, because that, like, what's the goal? What's the end game? And it is just so important that, you know, they have a goal. And a lot of these goals in college kids is just like you said, they think they're going to just go to college and a job falls into their lap. That is literally what is sold to a lot of these kids.
Right. They're saying that colleges have job placement programs, so they're saying all kinds of stuff like this. And in many cases, they kick you out the door with the degree you asked for, and that's it. And all the debt that was compiled.
My most successful friends that are my peers, my age, are the ones who are hardworking and easy to get along with. And they have good attitudes. That's really like the similarities, whether they got college degrees or not.
Somebody who's ready to learn, who's excited and passionate about learning, they're a pleasure to work with, and thus they're going to get paid to do what they're prescribed to do here. Boilermakers. Now, my nephew is a Boilermaker, and he works for the Union, 598 in Chicago. Represent, right? And he's, he loves the job. He is financially secure. He started his own business and had some luck part-time after doing the boiler stuff, and didn't have to go back to work, but went back to work because he wanted to have the sort of the insurance coverage and just to have people to talk to. So he enjoyed it, so he went back. But physically demanding career, boiler making is one of those jobs that, yet again, is desperately searching for staff. As reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you can generate $30 an hour, $62,000 a year with no need to go to school. Now, the union itself has a school. They teach you how to do it, but you get paid on the job. Plumber, for being this is one I mentioned earlier. For being a dying job, being a plumber is surprisingly lucrative. If you choose to go the self-directed route, you'll be able to benefit from the on-the-job training and apprenticing, which means that even as you're learning, you're getting paid. Salaries can vary between $52,000 and $90,000 a year, much more than you could expect working as an overqualified college intern. And yeah, I mean, plumbers are always going to be in demand because people don't want to get their hands dirty.
Well, and the thing is, too, is everybody wants to be comfortable. They want to be in a house. They want it to be dry. They want it to be not too warm, not too cold. They want that running water. And all these things need maintenance. They all have, a lifetime. For example, the roofers are always being in demand. Anybody who's going to do any kind of house remodeling and repair, auto mechanics, people want cars. They use them. New cars are crazy expensive. And mechanics will always be, in demand also. But yeah, plumbers, because people want to be comfortable. If you're in any kind of industry that provides comfort to people, you're going to have work to do. You're going to have a job.
Angie, how old are your boys, and what are they looking to do?
One is 8 and one is 14. The 14-year-old wants to be a professional dirt bike rider.
Okay.
And the 8-year-old wants to be a professional YouTuber.
Okay. Well, I sincerely hope they will do well in those career lines. I think they need some kind of fallback.
I have suggested that to both of them.
Right.
Shiloh's is a professional gamer.
Well, he's 8,
yes.
And I suspect he'll get a little better dose of the world. But I don't think there's any problem with having these lofty goals early on, just so long as you continue working towards the goal. Make the money as you're going and develop the skill set as you go. And then you've got something to do before or after, or even if you fall off the motorcycle while you're doing a big jump and hurt yourself.
Yes.
It's always a possibility. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. Got one more job that pays well, and you don't need a college degree for it. Free Talk Live. Hey, it is Free Talk Live. You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Angie here.
And Jay.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind here on Free Talk Live. I want to tell you about Freedom Fest. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. Freedom Fest's theme this year is the Wild West. Liberty and opportunity, or lawlessness and violence. Penn Jillette, Candace Owens, John Mackey, Kevin O'Leary, Kevin Harrington, both of these guys are from Shark Tank, by the way, Stephen Moore, Grover Norquist, libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, capitalists, and just open-minded people all mingling together to hear real debates and share real solutions and just converse freely. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL right now. Get your tickets. That's freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount. Plus, if you go to freedomfest.com/FTL and maybe you're not quite ready to lay down all the money for Freedom Fest, I understand. Go check out the 5 best speeches from last year. We've got them right there for free at freedomfest.com/FTL. Judge Napolitano, Alan Dershowitz, Charlie Kirk, Heather McDonald, John Mackey, all for free. See them right now. See what you're missing out on. freedomfest.com/FTL. Please, freedomfest.com/FTL. Let's go to Nate calling in from Albuquerque. Nate, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you. What's on your mind?
Oh, sorry. So yeah, I'm a welder. I live in Albuquerque. I've traveled around the country. I didn't want you guys to get everybody too hyped up about being a Boilermaker, no high school experience, because that's honestly the equivalent of like becoming a rock star. Not only in this country, but I think most of the world.
So as a Boilermaker, it's unlikely to become a Boilermaker, you mean?
No, as somebody who didn't go to welding school.
Okay.
To just start apprenticing. The test to become a Boilermaker is extremely, extremely hard. Extremely hard.
So,
and I've worked for the national labs, and I've welded on nuclear weapons.
Right.
I'm not a terrible welder.
Everybody fails the Boilerman test at least once. All Boilermen have failed that test. It's hard.
It's freaking hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, but this is what I mean. My father-in-law and my nephew are both Boilermen, and they just the union hired them. And they took care of all the school.
That's amazing. It really is. I just don't want everybody. I mean,
there's a lot more welders than there are Boilermen. That's for sure.
That's definitely for sure. Yeah.
But you would agree that welding is the sort of career. Jay, you're a welder too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Among your skill sets, is the sort of career.
What's up, Jay?
Hey.
The sort of career that one can parlay into meaningful and lucrative work, though, right?
Many other things. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with you. A year spent at Votech learning welding is probably not a year wasted.
No. Yeah. No. Totally not.
Nate, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. I think he's right that the sort of Boilerman, it's a little more difficult to get that job than others. I don't know. Maybe you have to have connections. I have no idea how this works. I'm reading the article here, and I have a little bit of experience.
So boilers are essentially heating devices. They heat water. They boil water.
I'm so glad you said that because I had no idea what it was.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. So like, for example, the wood stove behind your house is a wood boiler.
Okay.
Well, it's not pressurized, so it's a hydronic oven.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
But we do colloquially call it a boiler. Yeah.
So outdoor wood boiler is what most people are going to...
Yep, they do. They call it that.
Industry standard. We put a little pressure relief valve on top of it. Now it's pressurized system.
Hers isn't.
Well, I know, but so mine is a pressurized system. Okay. Anyways, so but like back in the day, the heat that was heated most of the homes was steam.
Yep.
And so you'll see in some of these old houses and old buildings that they have basically like a brick or a block room all around the steam boiler. Because what would happen if steam boiler was any defect in it, that house would be a smoking pit. It would just blow that house up. Steam pressure expanding because some pipe fails and it causes it to plug up, or usually what it would be is like a pipe would collapse internally because of rust. And then for like boiler fittings, and there's all kinds of like heat exchangers, like the heat exchanger from your heating source to your hot water is a heat exchanger, plate-on-plate heat exchanger. The guy that would manufacture that would probably be considered a Boilermaker, because there's all these very precision and specific soldering joints that have to be put together, and these plates are stacked, and it's
copper. It's not the easiest thing to weld,
right? And it'd mostly be soldered. And
I'm sorry, soldered.
But so a Boilermaker, especially back in the day, was a very important job. And if those guys, screwed up, people died. And even today, really, with steam systems, which the fail-safes have gotten really good. I mean, if they get too hot, they just shut off. But when you were shoveling coal in that bad boy, I mean, has your hydronic stove overheated yet on you?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Well, mine has a few times. I don't know if it ever did on you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just because, like, you're putting a bunch of wood in there, and it's supposed to be cold, but it's warm the next day, and it's too warm, and the house isn't calling for heat,
right.
or,
you
or
the
power goes
thing.
out. The power goes out, and the water don't circulate. The thing will start boiling over on you. And same thing with the coal boilers. Coal's very hot. I mean, you can melt steel with coal. We're actually going to have at Forkfest, one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to build some coal forges.
Forkfest.party.
Yeah, and actually people are going to be able to go home with some coal forges if they want. But coal, those things would overheat. So yeah, the boilers were and that was the whole thing with the Boilermaker stuff. They wanted to make sure these guys were highly skilled and trained, because when they failed, people died. Was the bottom line.
I want to finish this up here, and then in the next hour we're going to have Angie's going to talk about sex. So that'll be awesome. The final job here from fee.org that is lucrative but doesn't require a college degree is a web developer. So they could be even more general with this title, he says. But basically, if you like working on computers, especially the mechanics behind working a working machine or website, you can launch a very prosperous career without going through school to gain skills. Web developers can earn a median salary of $62,000 to $122,000 a year with a very low down payment on their education. This is basically what your husband does. He doesn't develop websites, but he said
works on computers.
Yeah, he decided in his mind, I can fix computers.
Yep.
Right? Like most of the problems that he fixes on computers are simple Google searches.
That's exactly correct.
And it's just people who are like, I don't know how to do this. I want somebody to fix it for me.
Yep.
So he fixes it for them. And I don't know what he makes, but I know he does pretty well. And it's because he opened up a business and he was consistent. He showed up on time. He kept a good attitude, and he fixed people's stuff, and he got it back to them in a reasonable amount of time. It's not that difficult. A lot of times it's just running a virus scan on their computer.
Now, he went to college for that, but I did not. And I learned in the shop. He trained me, and the employee that we had trained me, and I ran one of our stores without any knowledge of computer tech. And he would walk me
without previous knowledge.
Yeah, I had
no. You were the apprentices,
right, without education. Yeah,
right. But I would call them on the phone, or I would YouTube it, and I would figure out how to take laptops apart and how to install parts on computers just from the internet.
That's what we call initiative.
Yeah.
Right? Like just the going and looking for the YouTube video. It's hard to have initiative in every aspect of your life. I'm not going to say that it's easy, by no means. But this is what an employer is looking for, is initiative. Somebody who can solve a problem without them having to solve the problem. And employers aren't looking for people to ring them up every hour and say, hey, I need to solve this problem, I need to solve that problem. They're looking for somebody who can solve the problem, and maybe calls them once a day for a little bit of coaching one way or the other. Some people need a project. Some people are looking to have somebody to coach. But most people are looking for somebody that helps them grow their business. And I think this is just another thing that people can do and earn money.
When it comes to skill building, so at a place I hang out at Manchester, there's a lot of computer folks there, and I was there the other night, and I was asking a few of them, talking about Man Camp and building skills in the kids, and I said, hey, listen, you guys are computer dudes. You're like they're programmers and things like that. I go, is there some like tool we could use that's like be fun for kids, like 10, 12, 13-year-old kids? Because a lot of them like the computers, or even starting as young as your 8-year-old son, that would like work them into like kind of be like a training thing for like being a web designer or a computer programmer. And a couple of guys were talking about how like in some of these game things, like you can build things within the game, and like you can. Now I was wondering if there was something like where they could write code or whatever, because that would be a really, good skill to get your young children into.
There are some programs that you can do that work like that. There's Roblox, for instance. Mikey goes in and he writes games, and people can go into his servers and they can play on the games that he has written.
Good.
And so he's done stuff like that.
Yep, that's. People are making solutions for kids all over the place. I think it's great. The number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. Free Talk Live.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
Free Talk Live.
Kicking off the third hour of Free Talk Live. You are free to call in and talk live here on Free Talk Live. That's why we called it that. It's pretty simple, really. It's Mark with you.
Angie here.
And Jay.
855-450-3733. Let's go to Craig calling in from Wyoming. Craig, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, how you doing today? My point was when I was a kid. When I was a kid a long time ago, 12 years old, I started working on cars. People were, actually in the shop. They were willing to hire because you're cheap labor. I was getting paid less minimum wage.
Sure.
But by the time I was a senior in high school, I was making more than a entry-level teacher by about 30%. And
but you were exploited, Craig. You were exploited as a 12-year-old, having to work for less than minimum wage, learning how to fix cars.
I would say he got a priceless education.
I think that he needs to find some lobbyist group that will advocate for him and have some kind of reparations made to him.
Yeah, just funnel that parasite economy more, right? More just to keep on throwing money into nonsense. That's the problem with the whiners. There's the squeaky wheel gets to grease, and these guys are just whining because they're just not receiving enough whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you, Craig, for manning up as a kid.
Yeah, that's what. And now I make working in the coal mines, making $80,000 plus.
Do you think you've had any ill health effects? That's what I'm always told about coal mines.
If you're underground, you have to be more careful, but open pit, very little.
Oh, I see.
There's been no case of black lung here, and there's fatalities, but it's less than most other industries. It's very highly regulated, and they really stress safety. They don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Yeah, sometimes something will fall on you, but that'll happen at any construction site.
Yeah, but they really make sure they ingrain it in you. Don't be under a load. Don't put yourself in that position. And, for what we do in man hours and stuff, there's very little fatalities. If they see safety going out, they really try to rein it back in. If things start getting a little careless, if it starts trending, they really watch out for you that way, at least in the mine I'm at.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate the call. Yeah, pay attention to that safety training, ladies and gentlemen, when you're there, because it can be invaluable. The safety training we had at the fire department, awesome and useful, but you have to implement it.
And going back to what Craig was just saying, he said he makes like $80,000 a year working in a coal mine, and it almost sounded like it was relating to the fact that he's got mechanical skills. So in a coal mine, you have a lot of equipment, and if you got mechanical skills, you're worth more. I know if you're a truck driver that knows how to turn a wrench, you're the last guy that's going to get fired, in that trucking company.
Yeah, that much is true. Angie, you found an article that's going to get a lot of people's attention.
I did. It's about sex.
Yeah.
And I discovered that, I didn't discover, I already knew that if you have more sex, you're less stressed.
I think that sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? That people who are having sex more often are probably a little less stressed than the rest of us.
Makes sense, but a lot of people don't have a lot of sex. So they're stressed. They're not happy. They don't do their jobs. They carry everything over into the next day. The article actually goes into several studies that were done, like a study at Arizona State University that said 58 middle-aged women, physical affection or sexual behavior with a partner significantly predicted lower negative mood and stress and higher positive mood the following day. Simply put, the researchers found that sex and physical intimacy led women to feel less stressed and be in a better mood.
All right,
These
ladies.
results weren't found when women had orgasms without a partner, so toys did not count.
So, yeah, I would say that I think that skin-on-skin contact is important for the human primate. And I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about people touching each other in
intimacy.
all kinds of ways.
Absolutely.
Certainly, intimate partner sex is important, and I'll bet you that has a lot to do with stress reduction. But, one thing that I make sure that I do is I wrestle with my son is every day that we're in the same place. He just likes, wrestling. He doesn't mind losing, and so we wrestle. I let him, get on top. I get on top. I think it teaches all kinds of sort of issues of fair play, how to be careful with somebody, how bodies work, and, those kind of things. So I think that's very important. And I would agree with you that, you got to put down whatever that screen you're looking at night and pay attention to your significant other. I think is the best advice that it can make.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That hour before bed, you know what time bedtime is at your household. It's not like you don't know. That it's probably a good idea to shut down the laptop or the tablet or whatever it is that you're fiddling around on. I mean, I'm guilty of having 3 screens going at once. Like I got the laptop over here doing something. I've got the TV running over there doing something. I'm looking at something on my phone. It's despicable. And the amount of light that's getting into your eyes, I mean, we're creatures evolved over tens of thousands of years, and part of that evolution is that we get up when the light comes out and we go to bed when the light goes off, and we had fire or whatever, but that's a little different. So with these new devices that are on an evolutionary scale just they've shown up in the last instant, they're throwing off sleep patterns, and they're making it harder for people. And I think that I've seen studies that are saying that Americans are having less sex.
Oh, absolutely. Now, in my house, we put it in the calendar. It is scheduled just like a job.
All right.
Michael is 24/7 PC guy, and we, if we don't schedule it when the kids are at school or the baby's taking a nap, it doesn't happen. And if we don't do it, we hate each other.
Yeah.
And we know that.
Yeah, it's got to be done. I mean, it shouldn't be hard or difficult, but if you throw it in the calendar, fine, by you. I can't imagine that would work at my household. For my household, I think it's really just everybody sort of putting away the screens at the certain time. But when you've got older kids and those kind of things, it can be a different issue.
I have a customer who is she's a psychologist, and she does like a lot of she's a therapist. And she was saying that, telling me one day as we're stacking hay, she has a few horses, that her biggest complaint from the most common thing is married women that aren't getting enough love and affection, not enough sex from their husbands, and their husbands would rather watch porn than be intimate with their wives. And she says it's like a huge concern with a lot of her clients.
I have heard this too, and it is not isolated to middle-aged women. I dated a gal, so this would have been, I don't know how long I've been married, 15 years or something. So it was before that, before I'd ever even met my wife, so 20 years ago. And this lady was in the high 9s, okay? She was a very attractive – we didn't go out on very many dates, but – she was a very attractive woman. She had just broken up with her husband, moved back home. And the reason was because he was paying attention to pornography online rather than her. And look, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, but that's her end of the story. And that's good enough, right? Gentlemen, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have a more open conversation with your loved one if what you're doing is if you'd rather look at moving pictures on a screen. I suspect I'm suspecting that there's some sexual need that is not being fulfilled, some fantasy that is not being worked out, or whatever.
Now,
that's just a guess.
I don't watch a lot of porn. Haven't watched a lot of porn, but
it's not aimed at your demographic,
right? But now, is it true that in porn and in the bedroom it's completely different? Do men expect something different from women when they go in the bedroom if they watch porn?
Well, I think that people can be sort of greedy and lazy, right? Like that's just sort of how life goes.
And the American way.
Right. If porn is intended for a male audience, then you could imagine more service heading in the male direction rather than the female direction in pornography. And I think that can give an unrealistic expectation to young people about how sex should be. But I don't think it should. I think if you're an adult, you understand life is about give and take. Mm-hmm. So, if you expect to take in a particular area, you can expect to give in a particular area, and that's generally how these things go. Sure, you can work something else out, but, your thoughts are welcome. 855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. The number 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. I'm going to ask you for a favor. Please go to twitch.freetalklive.com. We don't ask you for too much here on Free Talk Live. This one's pretty easy. Admittedly, it's simple. I guess it's simple, not easy. Go to twitch.freetalklive.com. Watch our Twitch feed. We're trying to get enough viewers there so that we get a special status on Twitch, and then they can they'll put us on the front page. If they put us on the front page, then lots of people who wouldn't otherwise hear the message of liberty will in fact hear it. So just go to twitch.freetalklive.com, open up a screen, and that'll be helpful to us. Thank you so much.
Get more exposure for us.
Right. And it's not just for the night. I mean, seriously, it's for like the next 45 days. So I told you it was a favor. Twitch.freetalklive.com. Angie, I know you're talking about sex here, and it's probably a favorite subject of yours, but we are going to go to the phones here for just a second. As a matter of fact, Matthew's got a question, so we'll first go to Matthew. Matthew, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, yes, Angie. Where exactly did you find this article about this? I would be interested in reading it in depth.
Verywellmind.com. Verywellmind.com. It was actually printed, or it was uploaded March 16th of this year.
And this is, what's the title of it?
It is The Multiple Links Between Sex and Stress by Elizabeth Scott.
There you go.
Okay.
And it's basically saying that that people, and specifically they studied women in this one study here.
They did.
Because people care more about women having sex than men having sex, honestly. Turns out women have sex with men, but that's the interesting part. And so they studied women and said that, hey, look, these ladies were happier, had better days, they were more productive. Pretty much everything was better if they had sex.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how it goes. And I don't think they're suggesting running around and finding as many sexual partners.
An intimate partner, someone that you care about and you can relate to.
Yeah. So, Matthew, thoughts?
Okay. Well, verywellmind.com. All right, I'm going to have to look that up. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the call, Matthew. It's fine to call and ask because it's good for us to repeat these things, too. Let's go to Rob calling in from New Hampshire. Rob, you're on Free Talk Live.
Jay, you might want to tell Mark to pay reparations to me or I'm going to hurt
LRN.FM. Because he's banned from the airwaves. Let's go back to the story here, Angie.
Yep, you were talking about that you and your son wrestle.
Yep.
And that the touch every day is really good. And in the article, it talks about one of the studies that massage can be a great stress reliever.
This is something, gentlemen, this is a little trick here. If you can exchange, 15 minutes of massage and get something out of the deal, things are pretty good. I fall down on this, but I really should do this more. Massage is a great thing for everybody. It's good for everybody involved.
It is. basically every opportunity I got, I give my wife some little massage. And she's a massage therapist, so she puts a lot of energy into giving other people massages.
Never gets one.
And she gets incomplete massages all the time for me.
Right.
I do a little this, a little whatever, shoulder when she's sitting down or something, and she really appreciates it. I mean, that goes a long way.
Gentlemen, if you want to, if you're concerned about not being attractive to your spouse, I've got a couple of tips for you. Massage is one of them. You suddenly get a lot more attractive, and do the dishes.
Very much so.
There you go.
Help do a chore.
Do a chore. Really. Suddenly you get a lot more attractive. It's helpful when she's not, because part of this is her being less stressed when she enters the situation too. If she's upset about something, it's going to be hard for her to relax.
The sense of touch. In the study, it shows that we need touch for emotional health. It also shows that babies who are not touched enough can fail to thrive.
Oh, it's awful.
And touch continues to be important into adulthood.
Yep.
The type of relaxing, loving touch you can exchange with a good partner can be a great stress reliever as well.
Right. People that say that, I'm always concerned about people who say, I don't like hugs because I don't like people touching me. Like, this is a mental health thing that you really need to work on. Mm-hmm. I admit you don't want to be. It's an issue where you don't want to be hugging on the same person all the time that you're not necessarily in a relationship or whatever, but everybody needs touch. And for people that say that, I don't like people touching me or whatever, yeah, man, that's it's gonna be harmful to you in the long run. It concerns me always.
That's another thing I really like about Fork Fest and Pork Fest. You can just walk around and give hugs to everybody.
Yeah,
and there's massage therapists.
Yeah, there is. My wife will be there with her massage chair.
That's right.
And she gives a good chair massage.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, chair massages are great because you can get, I feel like a massage is a diminishing returns kind of thing to some extent. So you get more value in the first 15 minutes than you do in the last 15 minutes of a massage, sort of as health and all the things that go into a massage. So the 15-minute chair massage superior to the as far as the cost benefit analysis is superior to the 2-hour massage, couples massage or whatever.
Well, being married to a massage therapist, there's a lot of people who have a lot of physical tension issues.
Yep.
In their bodies, and that literally to get through, you really need an hour and a half massage to
work out
a deep tissue to get through the whole body.
We're going to be at Forkfest. Free Talk Live is going to be at Forkfest, obviously. I mean, it's a partly our project. If you want to be involved, go to forkfest.party. But let's do an interview with Shaolin and ask her about these questions. I mean, I just speak from ignorance and as a person who gets massages.
Yeah, that would actually be a great idea. I'll talk to her about that. I think she'll be down for that.
Absolutely.
Another part of the article says orgasms themselves are beneficial for our health, and they relieve stress. It can relax your body and release many hormones that are supportive of your overall health and wellness. This type of relaxation can also be great emotionally. Aside from the scientific findings, sex has some obvious stress management components. In addition to effectively taking your mind off of your worries for a decent period of time, sex provides some of these other stress management benefits.
So, I agree that orgasms are good and positive and beneficial and all that stuff. And then I think about sort of, like I got a dog and a cat at my house that have never had an orgasm in their lives, right? I mean, somehow they make it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, this is the thing that comes up for me. I don't even think the female cats and female animals, I don't even imagine have too much as far as, clitori, or they don't have sex for pleasure in the way.
But when they go in heat, they crave it. They want it.
Yeah, you can definitely see that. Yep. Yeah, they make that very, very abundantly clear to you at that point. So, I don't know. People aren't dogs and dogs aren't people, but it was just the thing that popped up in my mind. I'm like, oh, well, I want everybody to be healthy. And yeah, I think that this is one of the reasons that you got to make a commitment in your mind, because it's easy to put these put tasks or put sex on the back burner in a relationship, especially as the relationship gets older.
Or you have kids.
Yeah, my God.
It's like roommates.
Yeah,
yes.
All those things. 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. The number's 855-450-3733. God knows we don't want Angie to continue talking about sex here on Free Talk Live. It's Mark with you.
Angie here.
And Jay.
The number 855-450-3733, or you can go to you can talk to us on the Discord chat. Go through discord.freetalklive.com. The audio will be better, and once you get signed up, it's significantly faster to call in. Discord.freetalklive.com. Let's go to the phones. We've got Sarah calling in. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
So, it's about the same number of people who get killed by a gun-related fatalities, as also auto-related fatalities.
Yep. Now just to be clear, Sarah, I think it's important. Is that I think it's 7 out of 8 of those fatalities by guns are suicides. It's some large percentage, a multiple of the homicide number, or even the accidental number. The homicide and accidental number combined, suicide is by far the largest number. So go ahead.
So but all of here's the thing: is that all I hear about is the gun control law and all the people that want to oppose and declare sanctuary. That's all I ever hear about. And the only person that talks about auto fatalities and make a big deal about it is who else is other than myself? Who else makes a big deal about it?
I think Americans really love the freedom that the automobile affords.
The freedom that affords, but nobody thinks about the fatalities other than myself.
Well,
I live without.
There's plenty of people think about the fatalities. I was a firefighter for almost 20 years and a first responder, and we've definitely have picked up dead bodies, in cars, off the side of the road, off the back of, people on motorcycles.
Don't text while you drive, people.
All that stuff, or falling asleep while you drive, whatever, being drunk, just S happens,
Yeah, those things happen. The one you can control the most is your texting. Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is the publicity, the attention, and what people are concerned about is gun control law. And then they pass these gun control laws, and then all these people oppose it, all the debate about it. That's what I'm saying. And, one of the laws that we passed was about the guns and suicide. So in other words, the people say that I'm going to kill myself, and they're drinking and they're suicidal. They're supposed to report that and take guns away from. That's one of the 3 of the bills. It wasn't just one bill. I mean, background and all that. But one of the things was that if they're
red flag law,
and friends realize they're at high risk, if they show signs of high risk, they're supposed to report them and take the guns away because, like you say, 7 out of 10 are killed by suicide by guns.
Well, I think that the laws go to make easy answers. They want easy answers to problems, right? And so an easy answer is let's take the guns away. It's hard to come up with an easy answer for auto fatalities. You're asking for a comparison here, and nobody is ready to talk about let's drive less. Let's not have cars. Those kind of things. Even they're just not ready to do it.
Well, one of the high rates of fatality, I don't know if it's equal to or close to auto fatalities per capita, but before we had cars, one of the biggest causes of fatality was riding your horse home at night. 125 years ago, 130 years ago, because there wasn't really, you didn't have headlights on your horse and
fall into something,
you get taken off your horse by a tree, or maybe a lot of times you're intoxicated, and back in the day, and I guess urban living in a lot of the areas, you had to drink alcohol with the water because the water wasn't that clean, and so a lot of people were pretty much somewhat intoxicated all the time, and you were riding a horse. And a lot of people just relied on their horse to bring them home because the horse knew where home was.
Yep. My horse certainly did. Sarah, thanks for the call. 855-450-3733. Let's go to David calling in from New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hey, well, something else, but since you're talking about the sex reduces stress, unless you're a cop named Kathy Barker from Mississippi.
I read this story. It's really sad.
Yeah, well, why don't you tell it, because you'll do since you're professional, you do a better job of it than I would.
I'm going off of memory. You correct me where I'm wrong, all right?
Yep.
So this lady, I use the term loosely here, had been in trouble with the DCF, or whatever the Child Protective Services are called in that particular jurisdiction, about leaving her kid in the car. She's a cop. She apparently has some kind of thing going on with her supervisor, who was married, I believe, whatever. So she goes to his house, leaves the kid in her patrol car, which she leaves running.
And she knew the air conditioning didn't work. I heard.
Did she know
today,
the AC didn't work?
That is on the brakes for the LRN feed. One of the reports that they had said that she knew the air conditioning didn't work, but put it on anyways, and strapped a 3-year-old kid. All the 3-year-old kids I know could get out of the car if it got too hot. They were not strapped in.
So she literally tied him in, right?
Literally.
Okay.
Strapped the kid in is what they said.
Yeah. Right. A 3-year-old can't push the buttons to get out of a seat, probably. And the kid roasted to death in there. And it's
107 degrees is what the autopsy report said that the child's temperature raised.
And at this point, the judge is looking at the situation. He said, I can't imagine what I can do to you that would be worse than what you've experienced already. And I agree with him. And he's determining, the prosecution's asking for 20 years, but the judge is just deciding whether or not he's going to do that or not. I believe, because this person is a police officer, that likely they will receive a lower term. I'm not saying that the world's a better place if this lady's in prison, because I don't think that that's going to really solve the problem here. She's got all kinds of problems, none of which are really going to be solved by prison. However, I believe that is true for anybody, not just a police officer, and I think that she's going to receive preferential treatment because of the badge. David, how'd I do?
Pretty good. You were good all the way to the end, where she just got sentenced to today or yesterday.
Okay, thanks.
She got the max.
Did she?
20 years. 20 years.
Well, I suspect that might be because the story went viral.
Could be.
So what do you think? I mean, her getting 20 years, I tend to think that it's a pointless waste of taxpayer money putting her in prison for that long.
Can they put her with general population?
Oh yeah, she'll go with you.
I would say a better 20-year sentence would be to sentence her to 20 years of full-time volunteer work, or at least part-time, half-time, like 20 hours a week, for 20 years of going from group to group to group, telling her story, to try to save just one life in some similar fashion. Actually, if you did that, you'd probably save many lives, because lots of kids get hurt by hot cars alone, let alone other dangerous situations.
Yeah, I think that the writers of the Constitution may have done us a disservice with this cruel and unusual punishment thing, because at this point, all we've got is fines, jail, and execution. That's really it, as far as the choices that a judge is given. And so many things could be. They do have community service, but for people call that getting off. I don't think it is.
I really like restorative justice. as opposed to punitive justice. But I don't know where you could like when we read this story last week. I don't know where we could, what could be restored, in this, or how you could have a restorative justice when you kill your own daughter. I mean, she's got to feel horrible.
Right. She's the victim and the perpetrator in this, right?
Yeah, if she goes around and she has to talk about it every week or every other week, then she's going to have to relive that for the next 20 years instead of sitting in a cell where she doesn't really have to visit it every day.
Right. I'm surely there's some kind of program or something where we can talk to young mothers about the importance of, whatever. I don't know, but it's that's some way that she could to make good. David, excellent call. Thank you. 855-450-3733.
Some people just suck. I mean, just the bottom line.
Yep. It's true. Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. Final segment of Free Talk Live. We might be able to get you in if you call in. I'll give you the number, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE. If you like what Free Talk Live does, if you would like to have us reach more people with the ideas of liberty around the world and around the United States, please do as RC has done. Go to amp.freetalklive.com and amp the program. We only use the funds to advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live, so we use them all to spread the word. amp.freetalklive.com. RC is a silver amplifier, and it's people like him that make it possible for us to reach more people, get on 200 radio stations across the U.S., have more than 100,000 downloads on our podcast per month. amp.freetalklive.com. Before we get back to the story here, Angie, I want to go to Brody calling in Utah. Brody, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, hey, just calling in. Have you guys talked about receipt checking at stores before?
Receipt checking?
Yeah, when they check your receipts when you're leaving a store.
It's been a long time. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Well, I was just calling in because I just think it's interesting how the people just don't even understand that they don't even have to show their receipts, and people just actually get their receipts ready when they're going to leave the store.
And they wait in line.
The thing. Sorry, what?
They wait in line to get their receipts read.
Yeah.
You're talking like when you leave and they check your stuff in your basket. Yeah. I can understand. It helps with shrinkage.
But when you're shopping at like a Sam's Club or a Costco or it's a private membership store, if you don't show your receipt, they can ban you from the store. They can revoke your membership and then you can't go there anymore. But like at a Walmart, you have no obligation to show your receipt. And the way I approach it is if they ask me for my receipt, I ask if they're accusing me of stealing something. They always say no. And then I ask them if I'm being detained, and they say no. And then I ask them, if I'm free to go, and then they stumble and they're like, well, I need your receipt, at which point then I ask for a supervisor and go from there. Because then if they detain you, then you have a lawsuit on your hands, and, maybe you can sue Walmart for millions of dollars.
I almost never have to deal with this. Maybe the stores I go to aren't dealing with shrinkage or whatever the point is. It has been years since I ever dealt with it, and when I dealt with it, it was at Best Buy. And I understand how a store wants to handle, losses and those sorts of things. I get it. But for me, it just seems like so much training for obsequiousness, people groveling and those sorts of things. I don't need you to go through my stuff. I just don't have time or energy. I'm not going to do it. And so what my plan was, after the first time it happened to me, I was like, oh, this isn't happening again. I don't like it. And I decided, okay, so here's my plan. So I went up to the checker or whatever that was there. They asked me for my receipt. I said, I don't want to further this whole philosophy of checking people's bags. I'm not interested in it. I don't like it. So I will let you check this receipt if you want to, but as soon as you do, I'm going to go back to the return desk and I'm going to return all this stuff. and I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go to Circuit City, and I'm going to buy it there. And then if they check my receipt there, I'm going to return it all there, and I'm going to go to the next big box store that sells electronics. Somebody's going to sell me this stuff, and they're not going to check my receipt on the way out the door. And, they just gave me the thumb and, see ya. They're not interested in the middle-aged, white guy that's sick of it, right? He's not the one who's stealing things. They're just trying to look at your bags so that they can look at the bags of the people who they suspect.
Yeah, so
so
they don't look like they're profiling. Like, I got a PJ's membership, and I basically got it to buy the cheap diesel fuel there in Manchester. And I walked in and got some stuff the other day, and he didn't even look at anything in the carriage. Like, literally, he's like, "Hey, how you doing today?" Check, and he just handed it back to me. He's got to put a little check mark on it. That's like his job.
So I don't know how these BJ's is a club store, and I can't really speak to how those work and why they do what they do. I can't speak to them. I don't know. But, if you're willing to trade your time for the lower prices, then, yep, it's worth it. I just decided I wasn't willing to do it in that circumstance. So, Brody, what do you think it's all about?
Oh, I think they're just trying to catch thieves. But, another thing is that I don't know if most people know is that if they have the beeper machines, that if you go through, they'll beep at you for some reason. Those actually, you don't have to stop for those either, right? I went through Walmart, and when I went out the store, it went off, and he's like, "Hey, I need to see a receipt." I go, "No, you don't. That doesn't prove anything." And again, I asked him, "So are you accusing me of stealing anything?" He said, "No." And he said, "But I need you to come with me." I said, "No, I'll wait right here. You go get your supervisor." And he started arguing with me about how he's just doing his job. I'm like, "Well, that's fine, but I'll sue Walmart if you're going to detain me. So either I'm free to go, or let's detain me, and then I'll sue Walmart." And he said, "Fine, go, leave." I just think I think they're trying to catch people who are stealing, but people, if they don't assert their rights, then you lose your rights.
Yeah, the little beeper gizmos, those things are constantly going off. What I like to make fun of them whenever I hear them is like somebody leaves and the thing goes off and like, "My God, that person's stealing something. What are you doing?" Because at this point they're no longer. We call them alarms, right? It's like a car alarm.
Yeah, nobody pays attention.
Mikey likes to take off running when they go off, and he has a cart. He's like, "Mom, run!" And I'm like, "Oh gosh."
Who's alarmed? What? They're a noise, is what they are.
Mm-hmm.
These they don't do anything.
My fear is for me, my fear of showing my receipt to them, maybe it's a small fear, but not only would I like to sue them if they detain me illegally, but also my fear is if you show them your receipt, then you're giving up your rights, because then, maybe you missed something when you were going through.
Maybe the checker missed something.
But, then they can accuse you of trying to steal something, because now you've shown them your receipt. And if an item is not on there that you missed or the cashier missed, well, now they could file charges against you.
That is a true statement, right? Like, every time a human being checks you out, whether that human being is you or a cashier, there is a chance, and that chance isn't small, of a mistake being made. If a mistake has been made, you may be, through no fault of your own, committing a crime and giving testimony against yourself by providing that receipt against yourself. Companies really need to figure out how to, make sure that somebody's not doing something from the checkout line to the checker line. This double checking thing it's annoying, and I'm just not interested in giving my time.
If it was a cop that asked me to see the receipt, I would say, "Are you going to use the results of this document against me in a court of law?" And he has to say yes.
Well, of course he would, yeah.
I'm going to I'm going to exercise my constitutionally secured rights not to incriminate myself.
Right.
Just keep walking.
But if it's a regular employee, all they're going to say is, "Duh."
Yeah.
They don't know. Thanks for the call, Brody. Appreciate it. 855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE. Angie, tell me a little bit more about this study here that says that sex apparently relieves stress. Who'd have known?
Couple of more things. It talks about endorphins, talks about sexual activity releases endorphins and other feel-good hormones. You'd be surprised by how many and what they do. The chemicals can relax your body and mind, leaving you feeling better for hours afterwards.
I'm usually asleep
Exactly. And then it talks about the physical aspect of sex. Depending on your level of enthusiasm, you can burn a lot of calories during sex and gain stress management benefits from exercise as well.
Yeah, I suppose that's the possibility. I've seen it on TV. I don't know.
It increases your heart rate for sure.
Right. It does increase your heart rate. I remember when I was a kid, there was this factoid that floated around, something to the effect of, I don't know, that sex burnt like 100 calories. This average. Well, I think that people got the impression that somehow, laying there servicing yourself for 3 minutes was going to burn 100 calories. It's not magic, okay? No. That explosion of chemicals in your brain does not burn 100 calories.
The movement.
Yeah, it's you're getting your body in motion that's going to burn calories, as opposed to just something that you think is magical.
And it's important to be as active in sex as your partner. I mean, you can't just lay there and expect for both of them to enjoy it.
Right. If they're doing somersaults off the hobby horse, you're just laying there. That's not fair. You're not bringing to the activity what it is that they're doing. And the dismount. 855-450-3733. It's what I always think of whenever I hear the casters go, and the dismount. Free Talk Live. Check us out at freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealestate.com